Nanana's experience left him completely astounded. In an instant, the antelope started to transform. It shed its skin, revealing a stunningly beautiful woman beneath. Nanana had never encountered anyone as breathtaking as she was. In a picturesque village known as Opti, surrounded by lush green hills, there resided a man named Kibit. He was more than an ordinary villager. Kibit stood out as the wealthiest farmer in the region. His farm was the largest in all of Opti, stretching across the rich soil like a vast green sea. He cultivated an array of crops, with towering corn stalks swaying gently in the wind, golden fields of wheat glistening under the sunlight, and vibrant vegetable patches resembling a colorful quilt. Even with his considerable riches and thriving farm, Kibit possessed a quirk that left many in the village both perplexed and disheartened. He seldom allocated his funds for his family. His wife and children led a humble life, frequently foregoing new clothes or toys that other children in the village had the pleasure of enjoying. Rather than attending to his family's needs, Kibit devoted all his resources to two passions that consumed him: libations and the presence of ladies. Each evening, following a demanding day of overseeing his laborers in the field, Kibit would request a large gallon of fresh palm wine. He and his friends would come together, transforming the village square into a lively scene of hearty laughter and captivating tales as they enjoyed drinks late into the night. Meanwhile, just a short walk away, his wife and children sat in their quiet home, their stomachs rumbling with hunger as they absorbed the distant sounds of merriment. It wasn't merely the palm wine that distanced Kibit from his family. On the night he was absent from the village square, he could be discovered at the local brothel, where he indulged in the company of women, laughing and reveling in carefree enjoyment. The vibrant lanterns of the establishment threw elongated shadows as Kibit reveled in his indulgences, unaware of the desires and the mounting sorrow of his family awaiting his return. This lifestyle persisted in Amukwi, as Kibit opted for the ephemeral pleasure of the night rather than the enduring comfort of his family. In the midst of Kibit's untamed nature, his wife Igodi faced her own challenges. She had shed countless tears, begged for hours, and even sought the assistance of Kibit's friend to help convince him to alter his ways. Despite her efforts, Kibit continued to be adrift in his reckless lifestyle, reveling in late-night escapades with friends while neglecting his family's needs. Igodi, a nurturing and resilient woman, was the mother of two remarkable children, a lively and joyful girl named Dima and an inquisitive, spirited boy named Nanana. Even though Kibit possessed great wealth with vast fields teeming with crops, the substantial earnings from his farm always appeared to elude his household. Choosing to forego a night out and other luxuries, Igodi was resolute in her commitment to provide for her children, joining the other village women at the market each market day. She toiled diligently, peddling an array of items from artisanal crafts to freshly harvested produce. Every day unfolded as a relentless pursuit, alive with the vibrant sounds of the marketplace and the rhythmic clinking of coins as she scraped together just enough to survive. With the modest funds she collected from her endeavors, Igodi was able to provide sustenance for Dima and Nanana. She consistently ensured they had what they needed to feel at ease, enveloping them in affection and the cozy embrace of a home that sought to protect them from the harsher truths of their father's indifference. Igodi's life was a perpetual balancing act, yet her unwavering strength and affection for her children infused their days with happiness, even amid the obstacles they encountered. Rather than reforming his behavior, Kibit gained even greater notoriety in the village for his extravagant spending, particularly when surrounded by women. He had a reputation for lavish spending, drawing in numerous women who relished the attention and the generous gifts he offered without hesitation. The villagers couldn't help but murmur amongst themselves, observing how he neglected his family's needs while lavishly showering his riches on those who praised him. Among those captivated by Kibit's lavish way of life was Adane, a prominent figure in the village, recognized for her allure and shrewd existence. Adane was known for her cunning, and upon observing Kibit's willingness to spend freely on women, she devised a clever scheme. She yearned for a life of opulence, distant from the frugality she was accustomed to, and Kibit, with his abundant wealth, appeared to be the ideal gateway to that aspiration. Adane noticed Kibit's generosity towards other women, and she resolved to captivate him into making her his wife. She was convinced that winning his heart would alter the course of her destiny. Adane had heard whispers of Kibit's harsh treatment towards his family, yet she believed that her allure could ensnare him, captivating him to the point where he would never glance at another woman again. In her scheme, once captivated by her, Kibit would comply with her every request, granting her dominion over his riches. With unwavering resolve, she sought to wield her allure to its maximum potential, convinced that Kibbet would abandon his former life and dedicate himself entirely to elevating her to the status of his queen. She sought the counsel of a witch doctor who provided her with a potent powder to mix into his drink. This would inspire Kibbet to embrace her, and he would dedicate his entire life to fulfilling her wishes. Adane's allure truly captivated Kibbet, and soon enough, she revealed that she was expecting. This turn of events quickly resulted in Kibbet embracing her as his second wife, deepening the connection between their lives. With Adane's arrival, life took a difficult turn for Igodi and her children. Igodi not only endured ongoing neglect from Kibbet, but Adane also took it upon herself to harass her relentlessly each day. Adane had a knack for causing trouble, constantly igniting disputes that didn't exist. Whenever these disputes reached Kibbet's ears, he would consistently hold Igodi responsible, accepting Adane's distorted narratives without a hint of skepticism. Every morning, long before the sun had the opportunity to warm the earth and before Igodi could stir from her slumber, Adane would commence her daily torments. With a determined grip on her broom, she would sweep vigorously in front of Igodi's hut, her voice rising in a playful crowd-challenging melody. "Igodi, the cast aside, your husband holds you in disdain. Why not go back to your father's home?" The words pierced Igodi's heart, prompting her to question why Kibbet was allowing their home to crumble beneath Adane's machinations. Adane's primary objective was to push Igodi aside, ensuring that Kibbet belonged solely to her. Enthralled by Adane's allure, Kibbet failed to see her cunning ways. He showered Adane with money, which she displayed flamboyantly in front of Igodi, always keen to highlight her latest outfits or accessories. Adane would begin, parading with an unmistakable sense of self-importance. "My husband gifted me these stunning outfits. His affection for me is so profound that he offers me everything. In contrast to others, he is unable to endure." Igodi experienced the depths of despair, enduring the relentless torment from Adane, all while their spouse remained oblivious. Despite Igodi's tears, Kibbet remained steadfast, entirely swayed by Adane's power. Amidst the heartache and tears, Igodi discovered comfort in nurturing her children, committing herself to their joy and welfare in the turmoil that Adane had introduced into their lives. When Adane welcomed her son into the world, Kibbet's joy knew no bounds. He lavished attention on the boy as though he were his sole offspring, nearly overlooking Dima and Nanana, his children with Igodi. He chose the name Obinna for the boy, meaning his father's heart, a name that beautifully captured the depth of Kibbet's affection for him. Kibbet indulged Obinna with every imaginable luxury a child could desire. Every day in their abode felt like a magnificent festivity. Kibbet would procure the finest palm wine and generous portions of bushmeat, and alongside Adane and Obinna, they would indulge in a royal feast. Obinna was raised in an environment where his every desire was met, from toys to treats, all lavishly supplied by his father. Meanwhile, Dima and Nanana observed from the sidelines, their hearts weighed down by sorrow. They observed how their father showered his affection and presence on Obinna, while they appeared to fade into the background for him. Each time they ventured near Kibbet, seeking a touch of warmth or assistance, he would erupt in anger, brusquely sending them away to their worthless mother. Even in the face of their father's indifference, Dima and Nanana dedicated themselves to the farm, tending to the crops and tackling the relentless chores, clinging to the hope that their hard work might warm their father's heart. Despite inadequate parenting, a sense of ironic amusement washed over them. Seeing their father face the consequences of his own choices stirred a complex, bittersweet emotion within them. Adane did not embody the qualities of a role model in her parenting. Regardless of Obinna's misbehavior, she consistently supported him, encouraging him to embody the qualities of an odogu, a term in their language that signifies a great man. Yet, her perception of greatness was distorted, as it merely fostered Obinna's most undesirable qualities. Obinna developed into a reflection of his mother's flawed principles and absence of ethics. His impulsive actions and unending requests put more and more pressure on his father, Kibbet. As time passed, the relentless pressure and turmoil that Obinna introduced into his life significantly impacted Kibbet's well-being. Ultimately, the culmination of his struggles resulted in Kibbet experiencing a heart attack, which sadly took his life. Even with his riches, Kibbet's last days were steeped in misery, akin to those of a poverty-stricken soul burdened by regret and sorrow. Following Kibbet's passing, Adane and Obinna swiftly assumed control of all his belongings. They took possession of everything he had abandoned, from the tiniest household trinket to the vast stretches of farmland, asserting that Kibet had solely acknowledged Obinna as his rightful son. Poor Nanana and his family found themselves destitute, as Adan and Obinna selfishly clutched the inheritance for themselves. In these challenging times, Nanana transformed into a hunter. Even without riches, he possessed the talent to gather enough bushmeat to provide for his elderly mother, Igode, and his sister, Dima. Igode, observing her son's dedication, motivated Nanana to continue concentrating on his diligent efforts. She held a profound conviction in the values of hard work and devotion. Each day she offered her prayers to the deities, seeking their favor for her son. "My son," she would often remind me, "blessings come solely from God and not from man. I believe you will achieve greatness in the future." Igode clung to the belief that the divine would recognize the wrongs her family endured and would eventually bring retribution upon Adan and Obinna for their avarice and malice. Before Kibet was even laid to rest, Obinna started selling off his father's valuable possessions, spending the money recklessly as soon as it came in. With each passing day, his behavior deteriorated further. He grew increasingly wild and impulsive, and even his mother, Adan, was unable to rein him in. The most devastating aspect of it all was how Obinna wasted the fortune. He sold precious assets that his father had diligently amassed and squandered all the earnings on women and indulgent drinking. Without a mentor or anyone to steer him in the right direction, Obinna was descending into chaos. Despite his father's erratic nature, Kibet remained committed and industrious in his pursuits. In sharp opposition, Obinna declined to engage in any work whatsoever. He was indifferent to farming or preserving his father's legacy, focused solely on enjoying the remnants of it. Due to Obinna's extravagance, there were insufficient funds to provide Kibet with the burial he truly deserved. The family's financial circumstances had deteriorated to the point where they were unable to pay for the customary rites and ceremonies usually held to pay tribute to the departed. Consequently, Kibet was laid to rest in a modest and unassuming manner, devoid of the usual ceremonies or honors, as if he were an afterthought. This poignant conclusion sharply contrasted with the opulent life he had led, signifying a mournful chapter for the family he departed from. Following their father's burial, family tensions reached a boiling point as Obinna insisted that Nanana vacate their father's compound. He asserted that everything was now his legacy. Nanana, having silently tolerated Obinna's reckless antics for far too long, experienced a sudden wave of hunger. How could Obinna utter such words to him? The compound was rightfully his as the eldest heir. This time, Nanana resolved that he could no longer remain a passive observer. He was prepared to hold his position and face his brother. Yet, Igode's mother held a contrasting viewpoint. She cautioned Nanana not to engage in a confrontation with Obinna. "Let us approach the elders and request an additional piece of land for constructing a new hut. Let Obinna be on his own. He is crafting his own demise. Should you choose to withdraw and allow the divine forces to take charge, the consequences for him will undoubtedly be harsh. We have alternative paths," she advised thoughtfully. Nanana felt a profound ache, yet he held faith in his mother's insight. She frequently reminded him that silence does not equate to weakness, highlighting the power found in opting for peace rather than engaging in conflict. Heeding his mother's counsel, Nanana accompanied her to meet the village elders. Upon sharing their circumstances, the elders expressed their compassion for Nanana and Igode. Nanana was given a new plot of land to construct a modest hut for himself, his sister, and his mother. It was a humble beginning, yet Nanana felt a profound sense of empowerment in crafting a new existence, liberated from the chaos that Obinna had introduced into their previous dwelling. This fresh start signified a promising chapter for Nanana and Igode, leaving behind the darkness of their history. Despite the challenges faced by Igode and her children, she consistently provided them with blessings and words of encouragement, firmly believing in their strength to conquer their difficulties. Even through the struggles, her heart overflowed with love and hope, which she imparted to them daily. Nanana embraced the responsibility of being the family's provider, setting out into the forest each day equipped with his hunting tools. Yet, often he would make his way back home with nothing to show for his efforts, his shoulders heavy with disappointment. Despite the discouragement of unsuccessful hunts, Nanana understood that perseverance was essential. His family relied on him, and he was resolute in his quest to ensure their well-being. After countless unproductive days, Nanana resolved it was time to seek his fortune in another area known as the Adumo Forest. This section of the woods was enveloped in enigma and ancient folklore. In hushed tones, the villagers shared tales of ethereal beings capable of shifting into creatures that wandered the depths of the forest. Though many brushed aside these stories as mere fantasies, the forest had long been regarded with a blend of trepidation and reverence. Haunted by the chilling tales of Adumo Forest, Nanana's desperation compelled him to plunge into its shadowy depths. His primary focus was securing sufficient nourishment to ensure his family's safety and well-being. With courage in his heart and hope in his soul, he ventured into the forest, prepared to confront any challenges that lay ahead, believing that this new hunting ground would fulfill his family's needs. Each evening, Nanana ventured into the forest, determined to come back with a prize. He bore his resolve like armor, remaining in the woods until the first rays of dawn began to caress the horizon. As the sun's rays filtered through the trees, Nanana made his way home, knowing he would return again in the evening. The routine was challenging, yet he remained dedicated to supporting his family. On one of those moonlit excursions in the enigmatic Adumo Forest, Nanana came across an unusual antelope. Upon his initial glimpse, a wave of exhilaration washed over him. Swiftly, he focused his sights and pulled the trigger. To his astonishment, the bullet appeared to strike the antelope, yet remarkably, it failed to pierce its hide. The antelope swiftly darted away, appearing unscathed. This strange occurrence left Nanana both perplexed and somewhat scared. How could an antelope emerge unharmed when he was certain the bullet had hit it? The enigma of this antelope captivated him profoundly, igniting a blend of curiosity and resolve inside him. He was determined to unveil the mystery surrounding this peculiar ritual. Even though it sent a chill down his spine, Nanana resolved to keep this encounter to himself, opting not to confide in anyone else. He was resolute in his quest to uncover the secrets of this enigmatic antelope, pondering whether the ancient legends of spirits dwelling in the forest held a deeper truth than mere folklore. Each morning, as the initial beams of sunlight pierced through the trees, the enigmatic antelope emerged, racing through the forest with elegance and swiftness. Nanana, consumed by the desire to capture this elusive creature, stood poised with the rifle in hand, ready for the moment to strike. With every shot fired, the antelope would halt, casting a glance back at him, its eyes reflecting an uncanny awareness, before dashing off, vanishing into the dense underbrush. Each evening, without fail, the antelope would dash through the forest once more, as though it were returning to its home. This routine captivated Nanana and intensified the enigma. This antelope possessed an extraordinary quality that set it apart from the rest. As he delved deeper into the subject, Nanana started to sense that this was not just any typical creature. In reality, the antelope was a being from the realm of spirits. Each day, it surfaced from this enchanting domain, carrying the ability to grant fortune to the benevolent and misfortune to those harboring wicked designs. This antelope had traversed the land for decades, its true essence understood by none in the realm of humanity. As dawn approached, the essence would depart from its true abode, transforming into an antelope and racing to a hidden corner of the forest. Upon arriving at this concealed location, the creature would discard its antelope disguise, conceal its skin within its calabash, and place it beside the tree in the woods. Then it would metamorphose into an exquisitely beautiful woman, adorned as if she were preparing for a trip to the market. She would blend in with the villagers. Amidst the bustling market, a hidden presence glided through the throngs, exploring an array of shops. The vendors who greeted her with warmth and admiration discovered that their enterprises thrived as never before, for she gently departed, leaving a touch of magic that ushered in prosperity. On the other hand, individuals who exhibited rudeness or a lack of warmth would discover that their day took an unforeseen turn for the worse, all because of the quiet influence of the spirit's curse. Yet, the effect of her visits was a secret she kept to herself. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky darkened, she hurried back to the forest to take on her antelope form once more and return to the spirit realm. Any postponement in this transformation posed significant risks. If she didn't respond quickly enough, she could lose her chance to go back home, becoming ensnared in the human realm, exposed and confused, perhaps even confronting death at the hands of a hunter like Nana. This fragile equilibrium rendered her life simultaneously enchanting and unstable. Nana, fueled by an insatiable desire to uncover the enigma of the peculiar antelope, concluded that continuing to fire at it was pointless. Understanding that his ammunition was being squandered, he devised a fresh strategy to uncover the creature's mysteries. He navigated the forest in pursuit of the ideal vantage point, ultimately discovering the tallest tree adorned with a dense canopy of branches. At dawn, he ascended to the highest point of the tree, granting him a panoramic view of the vast forest below. From his elevated vantage point, he remained still, his gaze sweeping across the terrain for any indication of the elusive antelope. With the dawn breaking, the antelope emerged, racing through the forest as it does each morning. Nana observed closely, following its trajectory with his gaze to discover where it might lead. The antelope finally came to a halt in a quiet area, concealed from the familiar sections of the forest. Nana's experience left him completely bewildered. In an instant, the antelope started to transform. It shed its skin, revealing a stunningly beautiful woman beneath. Nana had never encountered anyone as breathtaking as she was. His mouth gaped in disbelief. He observed her as she meticulously gathered dry leaves, skillfully concealing her antelope skin within a calabash before placing it beside the tree. The leaves bore such a striking resemblance to the calabash that no one would ever suspect its presence. Then she strolled away, merging seamlessly with the crowd of villagers. As soon as she disappeared from view, Nana swiftly descended the tree and made her way to the place where she had concealed her skin. He grasped the calabash, contemplating its potential as a tool for leverage or means to uncover the secrets behind this astonishing transformation. Nana then made his way back to his perch in the tree, his heart racing with exhilaration. He chose to remain there, filled with anticipation for her return and curious about what would unfold next. This journey was evolving into an exhilarating challenge for him, surpassing any pursuit he had ever envisioned. That day stood apart from all others for the enigmatic woman who possessed the ability to metamorphose into an antelope. She felt an unsettling sense that something was off and chose not to delay her return to the forest this time. Upon entering the forest, Nana observed closely from his vantage point in the tree. He watched intently as she rushed to the place where her skin was concealed. However, her movements swiftly became frantic upon realizing it was missing. She meandered from one place to another, clearly distressed and bewildered. Finally worn out from her unproductive quest, she sank down, appearing completely bewildered and adrift. Nana, who had once experienced a rush of excitement upon uncovering her secret, now found herself grappling with a twinge of remorse as she witnessed her distress. He descended from the tree and walked toward her with a grin, attempting to alleviate the unease. "Is there an issue?" he inquired softly. She glanced upward, identifying him as the hunter who had frequently aimed at her. Still, she remained silent, her eyes reflecting a blend of terror and urgency. Nana offered her assistance, eager to mend the predicament he had created. "What do you seek?" Yet, she held her tongue, her eyes filled with caution. "Very well, if you prefer silence, I suppose I shall take my leave. However, I believe I possess something that is rightfully yours. But you have to share it with me," Nana urged, attempting to draw her out. Her focus shifted to him at his words, and she instantly started to beg. "Kindly, it's becoming late and I require it. I implore you, please. I am not of this world and my time is nearly up." Her voice trembled while tears cascaded down her face. Touched by her anguish, Nana endured. She subsequently unveiled her narrative, disclosing her authentic self and the motivation behind her daily visits to the forest. Moved by her story and her struggles, Nana returned her skin without a moment's pause. Overwhelmed with gratitude, she halted him just as he was about to depart and resolved to express her appreciation for his generosity. "When I disappear, head to the tree near the spot where I used to conceal my skin. In that location, a pot brimming with eggs awaits discovery. Only take one. Upon your return, conceal it in a discreet location known only to you. After 3 days, visit that place and whatever you discover, accept it as a token of appreciation for your generosity and compassion." Nana felt a mix of doubt and curiosity that compelled her to explore further. He consented to her conditions. Once she disappeared, he approached the tree and just as she had said, he discovered the pot of eggs. He followed her instructions and took just one, then made his way home, keeping the enigmatic transaction to himself. As he departed the forest that evening, a weight of wonder and anticipation filled his heart regarding the future that lay ahead. As time passed, Obina's impulsive actions and questionable choices finally came back to haunt him. He had disposed of all his father's assets and wasted every cent he earned from those transactions. With nothing to his name, he roamed the village under the cover of night, filled with desperation and despair. When pleading for help failed to bring him any fortune, Obina turned to theft. Under the cover of darkness, he crept onto the farms of others, pilfering goats, chickens, and yams, anything he could swiftly trade at the market. With the meager earnings from these thefts, he would promptly squander it on alcohol, perpetuating his descent. This unexpected development filled Adani, his mother, with profound shame. leaving her feeling utterly powerless in the face of her son's actions. Obena's behavior became increasingly violent, and he showed no reluctance in brutally attacking his mother, just as he had done to his father when she tried to discipline him. The circumstances within their home had turned grave. All that the family had cherished, including the magnificent house that Captivate had constructed, was lost. At this moment, Adani and Obena found themselves residing in a modest, crumbling hut, which had initially been intended for the laborers on Captivate's farm. What had once represented their wealth became a stark emblem of their utter downfall. Adani wandered through her days engulfed in a heavy sorrow, burdened by the weight of regret for her past choices and actions. She yearned for an opportunity to rewind the clock and rectify the harm that had been inflicted, largely through her own actions. The gravity of their circumstances pressed down on her as she came to understand that her decisions had not only shattered her own existence but also that of her son. Each day was a cascade of sorrow for her, grieving the memories of their past and the bleak path that stretched ahead. 3 days after concealing the enchanted egg, Nanana approached the room, her heart fluttering with a blend of anticipation and anxiety. Uncertainty loomed over him, yet a sense of anticipation stirred within, hinting at the possibility of something remarkable on the horizon. With a swift motion, he flung the door of the hut wide, and his heart raced in anticipation. To his complete surprise, the room was not as he had left it. Instead, it overflowed with shimmering gold. Nanana burst with excitement and exclaimed in delight. Emotions flooded his face as he grasped the magnitude of his unexpected fortune. It was nothing short of pure brilliance. This treasure was unlike anything he had ever envisioned. Nanana hurried back to the forest to express gratitude to the antelope. He inclined his head in reverence upon seeing her, and she glanced back, meeting his gaze as if to recognize his appreciation, before she hurried away once more. Upon returning home, he recounted his triumph to his family, and together, they vowed to keep it under wraps. Nanana and his family experienced a swift and profound transformation in their lives. He sold some of the gold and constructed an impressive mansion in his village, transforming their modest home into a representation of their elevated status. Igodi and Dima, his mother and sister, were filled with joy and enjoyed a life of comfort, their past struggles now a distant memory. They would never experience poverty again for eternity. Nanana invested in extensive parcels of land and initiated a farming operation, employing numerous workers and seamlessly taking on the role his father once occupied. He swiftly rose to become the wealthiest individual in the village, earning respect and admiration for his achievements and kindness. Upon learning of Nanana's newfound prosperity, Adani was taken aback by the shocking news. She was engulfed by a wave of regret and shame, coming to terms with the fact that the family she had once tormented and belittled had ascended to remarkable heights. The scorn and contempt she had directed towards them now reverberated back to her, a painful reminder of her previous deeds. Adani grew more and more uneasy about the rapid ascent to success that Nanana and his family had experienced. Resolute in her desire to avoid mockery in her own community, she concluded that a bold strategy was essential. Determined, she set out to find the witch doctor in the far-off town. This sorcerer was renowned for his perilous and potent spells. He was the very one who had assisted her in weaving her enchantment over Captivate many years prior. The path stretched endlessly, filled with challenges, yet Adani's desperation drove him onward. Upon her arrival at the secluded hut, the witch doctor expressed surprise at her presence, reflecting on the considerable time that had elapsed since their previous encounter. With a serious demeanor, Adani conveyed the purpose of her visit. She sought clarity regarding Nanana's unexpected wealth and the flourishing circumstances of Igodi's family. The shaman heard the whispers, then sought guidance from the divine. Eventually, he began to speak, disclosing that Nanana had won the favor of a kind spirit dwelling within the forest. This spirit revealed itself solely to those possessing pure hearts and noble intentions, which is precisely why Nanana had been graced with such remarkable wealth. Adani was taken aback, yet determined to alter her son Obena's destiny. As her son roamed the village, pilfering livestock and treasures, she implored the witch doctor for assistance, yearning for her son to encounter the spirit and undergo a transformation like Nanana's. After considerable persuasion, the witch doctor ultimately agreed. He presented her with a delicate pouch brimming with a silky powder. He instructed to take this powder and give it to your son. On that day, he should abstain from any alcohol and ensure he reaches the Adumo forest by dawn. He will discover the kind woman making her way to the market through the woods. Upon entering the forest, instruct him to apply the powder to his face. It will enable him to perceive the essence. Adani's expression radiated enthusiasm. She was overwhelmed with happiness, convinced that soon she and her son would share the same wealth as Nanana and his family. With her heart full of hope, she expressed her gratitude to the witch doctor and began her journey home, gripping the pouch firmly in her hands. Upon arriving home, Adani immediately called her son Obinna to share the thrilling news she had received from the witch doctor. Obinna, who had brought about considerable turmoil and sorrow, found himself unexpectedly touched by his mother's dedication to his success. He expressed regret for the hurt he had inflicted upon her and vowed to transform his behavior. Moved by his mother's unwavering commitment, Obinna promised to honor her efforts. That evening, he was to embark on his journey to the forest, and Adani firmly cautioned him against consuming any alcohol. Yet, in spite of his assurances, Obinna found it impossible to break free from his old ways. He strolled through the village, proudly proclaiming to all that he would soon match his brother Nanana's wealth. He boasted with a loud voice, taking a swig from the bottle, "I've uncovered his secret, and you all better be ready for my comeback." That evening, disregarding his mother's caution, Obinna stumbled into the forest, a bottle of palm wine in hand. He followed the instructions for applying the powder but kept drinking heavily and eventually drifted off to sleep. In a remarkable turn of events, he awoke just before dawn and caught sight of a woman emerging from the woods. Reeling from a night of indulgence, he awkwardly summoned her attention. "Excuse me, could you please pause for a moment?" The woman, undeterred by his impolite interruption, kept on her way. In a fit of frustration, Obinna hurried after her and started to strike her with a cane he had seized. "Did you not hear me speaking to you? Have you lost your senses?" he exclaimed. The woman pivoted to confront him, her face a canvas of shock and disbelief at his actions. Obinna exclaimed, "You have made my brother wealthy. Please provide me with my share, or there will be serious consequences." Her smile only served to deepen Obinna's irritation. He remained oblivious to her true identity and the extraordinary ability she possessed. The essence, recognizing its authentic self, gestured towards a tree. "Approach the pot and select only one egg," she directed, just as she had advised Nanana. "Conceal it within a secret chamber. After 3 days, take a look to discover what you uncover." Disregarding her guidance, Obinna coughed and resolved to take all the eggs. He thought with delight, "If Nanana amassed such riches from just one egg, I'll seize them all. That woman probably believes I'm foolish. Once I gather all these eggs, I will rise to become the wealthiest man in my village, surpassing even Nanana." He brought the pot back to his village and concealed it in a dilapidated hut. For the next 3 days, Obinna proudly proclaimed throughout the village his upcoming wealth. As the 3rd day dawned, he orchestrated a magnificent celebration, complete with drummers, singers, and dancers. Adan adorned herself in her most exquisite attire, and together they danced with exuberance, filled with anticipation for the moment of revelation. Yet, as Obinna boldly entered the hut to reveal his treasure, he encountered a chilling scene. A band of furious masquerades brandishing elongated canes emerged instead of gold. He let out a piercing scream and bolted from the hut, with them hot on his heels, mercilessly whipping him and his mother as they fled. The village was thrown into turmoil as panic swept through the streets, with people scattering in terror. The revelries continued unabated until both Adan and Obinna fell silent, their lives extinguished. Just as abruptly as he had materialized, the masquerades disappeared, leaving the village in a profound silence. The following day, Adan and Obinna's bodies were carried to the sinister forest and laid to rest, signifying a somber conclusion to their heartbreaking story. The village gradually embraced tranquility, eternally recalling the teachings of avarice and arrogance that brought about their ruin. Adan married a lovely girl from his village, resolutely committed to becoming a better father and husband for his family. They existed in a state of bliss, their past struggles now mere memories fading away. Hello friends, thank you for tuning in to this incredible tale. I truly hope you found it as delightful as we did while creating it. Please share your lessons in the comments section. If this is your first visit, I kindly invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our new videos. Kindly share your insights in the comments below, allowing us all to benefit from your experiences. Thank you immensely for your unwavering support, for standing by me, and for your love. For now, I must take my leave and look forward to our next tale together. Farewell.